Good evening and welcome to the Deep Dive. My name is Dalton Kawesa. My guest tonight is one of the kind. She was among the youngest and influential faces in NRM government, rising from journalism to parliament and finally cabinet. For nearly a decade, she has sat under the center of Uganda's investment agenda, championing industrialization and defending government policy. Evelyn Anite, the State Minister for Privatization and Investment. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dalton.
Yes, it's been a while since we last touched base and you gave an interview. And I want you to come at a time when Cabinet is retreating. If you're given chance to address the newly appointed ministers, what would be the three things you'll tell them, the lessons?
First of all, I want to congratulate all the new ministers upon their appointment to be in the list of the top 100 important citizens of this country, because being in cabinet is just not a small thing. It's a very high office, ranking office in the soil. And if I'm to tell them three things, they should be themselves, because throughout my 13 years of being a minister, I was myself. I did not accept to be scripted. It comes with criticism and likes, but the most important thing is you have to be yourself, because if you're yourself, then you'll enjoy the job and do it naturally. That's one. The other thing is that they should work with passion. Because if you are very passionate about the docket given to you, you're going to deliver beyond your expectation. Because I was very, very passionate about my job. It was almost as if I was born to do the work. So I did it without rules, but with passion. So what drove me most was my passion. So I would tell them to be very passionate and love their country. If you love your country more than yourself, then you will be able to just find yourself delivering and giving services to the people and satisfying. And your satisfaction is the happiness and the smile that you see on people's faces. The other thing that I would tell them to do is honesty. That they've got to be very honest, because in politics there's a lot of lies, and we tend to tell lies and cover the truth. Oftentimes, the number of times that I sat in cabinet, I was very truthful and very honest, brutally honest, and it earned me admiration and it earned me haters. And I must say that I don't regret that the haters came along, because I was very honest to myself and to my God and to my country and to my appointing authority. There was no single day that I did not give my honest opinion to my appointing authority.
Talking about the brutal truth, actually in one of the books of a former cabinet minister talks about the dishonesty at the table. Cabinet is about collective responsibility, even when you disagree. When you reflect on the 13 years, which is it's a big achievement, being a cabinet, what is that you think cabinet missed on point? What is that decision you think, when you look back, cabinet should have taken a different decision? And what is that decision, on the other hand, that really saw and said, we're right on the paper?
That's a little bit complex. I think, for me, it was the decision on dealing with corruption. I felt that we played double standard a lot. It depended on who has committed the crime, and we shielded the person. And if we had a very clear written rules on how to handle corruption, it was going to be an okay thing. But I didn't like the double standard. But you should know I'm under oath, so I cannot go...
Without going into specifics, did you ever stand up and tell your chairman in cabinet that let's not argue and let's not face double standards here? We need to tackle things as they are.
I told him severally.
In cabinet?
In cabinet, and even in privacy, to one point that when I was discussing the Uganda Telecom saga,
yes,
I was so angry with the dishonesty and protection and covering up the truth and corruption that I went to him and I told him, if this is how NRM deals with corruption, I opt out and I offered to resign. And he told me, no, you cannot resign. And he gave me reasons why I must not resign and I should make a promise that I will not resign. And that was the first half of my first term as Minister for Investment. In the second term, the same thing happened with the corruption in Uganda Investment Authority. I was very, very angry because I had all my facts right with evidence, glaring evidence. But then I just saw things being covered and glossed around and all this. I was very bitter and I ended up breaking down and crying.
Before the president?
Yes, before the president. And I'm like, this is not right. And at that point, that was the second time that I contemplated quitting my job. And I also said I'm going to quit. And then I was held back by family, by the president himself, by friends. And so, finally I got my relief with the cabinet reshuffle.
Just right there, do you have a feeling that the president is surrounded by people that mislead him, given the case of UTB and Investment Authority? Because you had your facts.
No, the president has oftentimes said that he takes decisions on strategy. There's so many things he has to look at. He looks at 360 degrees. And he is generally a very kind, patient, forgiving person. So what you see is very wrong. His Excellency, the President, whom I admire so much, my President, will tell you that, you know what? You have to muache. The Swahili word he uses is muache. So it is to say, leave them. So whereas I'll get angry, but he had reasons as to why he will pardon such people. He wants to give them a second chance. He wants to think that people will reflect and reform. So that's why he was doing that. But that patience and tolerance was weighing me down. And not only weighing me down alone, but with many other people. I am telling you, for the last 2 years, I removed from my status on X the title minister. I removed it for 2 years because I was so vexed up. I was like, then there's no need for me to actually be a minister. For 2 years, I removed it and I just called myself Anita. And with my friends, we had a very common say that let us float. So basically for 2 years, I was just floating, taking one day at a time and like, it's okay. Today you're going to go to work and things are going to be the same anyways. So it's fine. You just float.
How many ministers we were friends were in this kind of predicament and they were just floating?
There are very many and they've gotten reappointed. They're floating and there's so many because you have to float for so many reasons. Why you have to float is for the financial benefit, for the fame that comes with it. Maybe that is the only thing that you have to hold on to for your family to depend on. So that's why they told me,
float.
Let's float. And so I was floating. I joined them in the floating spree, but that's not my position. I don't like to float. I like my views. I like to express my views and eloquently express them. And I demand change after I have expressed my views. I am very highly opinionated person.
So in just there, is these ministers that are floating that club, are there ministers that have stayed in the floating group for more than 3 terms of office?
There are those who have floated for even 20 years. There are those who have floated
and they are open about it.
Yes, they are open about it. And they will say, can't you see us? Are we talking here? Have you heard us say anything? They don't talk. They will just wake up, go for the meeting, and you will not hear them. And so that is the floating. You will not hear them. They'll just be quiet. You have a subject they're discussing, you will not know their opinion. Maybe you'll just hear them bringing their sentiments in the corridors and in break times. They will express their opinions maybe on weekends or something like that, but then you will never hear them on the floor.
So you, in other words, you are saying that these ministers who are highly capable are not working and floating just because of the modus operandi around cabinet. Is that true?
It is It's for so many reasons.
Wanyoto Lydia Mutende
NBS Katebe
bankwatirako nnyo
emboozi y'omubaka omukyala ow'ekibuga Mbale
bwe nagamba nti mukama waffe agaita akalulu kavemu nasalawo era ne mbakwatirako ninga basinge bagende batukulembe
era nga minisita omubeezi w'abakozi ba gavumenti
so ffe twali ku byaffe awo tunywa mboozi abwa sipiika nali nesimbye kubwa sipiika
osalawo ddi n'ogamba kati ebyobufuzi ebiri serious kambiyingire
baatujja makerere bannange bonna abawulira n'abandi abakimanyi temulembe gwaffe tetulabye gavumenti ndala yonna n'okutegeera ensi bwetambula
okisanze otya
olina okumanya nti olina obwegendereza bwa kika kya waggulu nnyo
negattako olw'omukaaga olujja nga nkubuulira olugendo lw'okuvuganya ku bwa sipiika n'omumyuka wa sipiika ate n'okugwa mu gufo ogw'obwa minisita.
Bannayuganda twaniriza Joseph Ngoma mu konsati esoose ku Lugogo Cricket Oval nga 11 Julayi 2026. Tickets za mitwale 2, emitwale 5, ate meze y'abantu 8 ya milioni 3. Tickets ojazisanga ku caritickets.com, Friend Supermarket ne ku Hotel Triangle. Kwa note 765558 7225. Kino kyetubadde tulinda. Joseph Ngoma, mwana mulenzi omuwandiisi Vocal Powerhouse. Aludenga konko n'endongo. Ekutte ku mitima gy'Abannayuganda. Gendongo yenyuma, eyimusa, ekuwa essuubi. Agikubye mu style y'omulembe. Kati ategese ekitabangawo. Twagala Cricket Oval. Ejjule ku mulundi guno gwokka babulaza mutwaleko ba sister out bitegekeddwa charism n'ebiwagirwa.
Too many ads? Expensive subscription? You deserve better. And artists, thousands of plays, but nothing to show for it. This ends now. Introducing Yugatunes, the new home of your favorite music on Afro Mobile. Listeners, stream your favorite songs ad-free at no cost. Artists, earn from every stream. Withdraw your royalties anytime from as low as 20,000 Uganda shillings. This is music that pays off. This is music that belongs to you. Yugatunes, your sound, your stage, your reward.
Love doesn't end at I do. That's where the real journey begins. This year, the Bride and Groom Expo 2026 invites you to experience Beyond I Do, a journey of love, home and family. From planning your dream wedding to building your dream home, from unforgettable honeymoons to starting a family and making the right financial decisions for your future, it's all here under one roof. Meet trusted experts in home living, real estate, finance, parenting and lifestyle. Discover ideas, solutions, and inspiration to guide your next chapter. Whether you're newly engaged, newly married, or building your future together, this is your complete life journey experience. Happening 26 to 28 June 2026 at the Uma Multipurpose Hall. To book a stall, call 0772 354 940. Don't just plan a wedding, plan beyond it.
Breaking now. Now Post delivers Uganda's fastest, accurate news as it happens. From hard-hitting headlines to exclusive interviews, we bring details of stories everyone is talking about. Accurate, fast, and balanced. Get every update at nowpost.co.ug. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and never miss a moment. The Now Post. Accurate news, fast.
In a digital world, not everything is what it seems. False stories today spread faster than truth, leaving us all wondering what's real. Disinformation misleads, misinformation misguides and spreads confusion and fear. Dismiss, a campaign to help you think critically, question wisely, and verify thoroughly. Join us. Let's build a more informed Uganda, one truth at a time. Dismiss, inquire, verify, confirm. Together, let's fight fake news.
When the news moves, you move with it on Afro Mobile. Get real-time updates and the moment they unfold. Choose from over 80 live TV and radio channels and follow current affairs your way on the platforms you rely on the road, in the office, in the middle of your work, or out and about. Afro Mobile keeps the story going with you. Download Afro Mobile today and stay connected to every update as it happens.
Uganda is more connected than ever before. From mobile broadband to digital payments, access is no longer the challenge. But the real question is, how do we turn this connectivity into real opportunity? Introducing the State of the Digital Economy 2026, Uganda's annual digital check on how we go beyond connectivity to jobs, innovation, and economic growth. Across 5 key pillars: human capital, cybersecurity, policy, artificial intelligence, and infrastructure. This is how we build a workforce that creates, unlock digital jobs and income, ensure trust and security, enable smarter policies, and connect Ugandans to global opportunities. Don't just be online, be part of what's next. Partner with us to shape Uganda's digital future.
Too many ads? Expensive subscription? You deserve better. And artists, thousands of plays, but nothing to show for it. This ends now. Introducing Yugatunes, the new home of your favorite music on Afro Mobile. Listeners, stream your favorite songs ad-free at no cost. Artists, earn from every stream. Withdraw your royalties anytime from as low as 20,000 Uganda shillings. This is music that pays off. This is music that belongs to you. Yugatunes, your sound, your stage, your reward.
All right, thank you. Welcome back to this edition of Deep Dive. My name is Dalton Kawesa. Evelyn Anite is my guest. Very controversial. And she says casually. Remember, you go into investment. One of the things you have established, of course, with your team is the industrial parks. The question is about these industrial parks. Many people don't know the local investors. Mm-hmm. They feel they have been left out in the benefits of these parks.
No, you see, the thing is, because you have few colored people in a space of black people. So the colored people are going to stand out. But the honest truth is that the Ugandans who are black like me benefited more than the colored people. The colored people are just a handful. But you couldn't see it because of color difference, and they stand out. So, for instance, I give you Namanga Industrial Park. When I was appointed in 2016 as Minister of Finance in charge of investment and privatization, one of the annoying things, not exciting, this company that was started, this industrial park that was started in 1991 when I was in primary one, and in 2016 when I became the minister, I only find 15 factories. 15 only. So I asked myself, what have you been doing here? What is the problem? It was so annoying for me that I started kicking everyone. And I was kicking and slapping and calling names, and I wanted just to get to know what it was. So I went and had meetings with the investors, and they explained to me what exactly was happening. They told me, you see, you're selling an acre of land at $80,000 US. We're Ugandans. And at the time, I'm telling you, majority, and up to now, 90% of the investors in Namanga Industrial Park, a land that sits at 2,200 acres, now having 270 factories, 90% of that, with 447 total, when we finish completion, others under construction. So, in that, what was I saying? They were telling me, you give us the land free, but it's not actually free because we have to do backfilling, because it's wetland, we have to do backfilling. Then we have to pay you the 80,000, the capital that we would have used as working capital to do the factory construction and all that. Our first worry is to pay back this money. So I'm like, oh, this is very simple. Let me go to the president. So I went to the president, ran to him, and I told him, Your Excellency, there's a problem here. He says, what's the problem? I told him exactly what the problem was, how they were failing to pay. And why they were not constructing is because they were spending the money yet to pay. They needed to first have the land in their names, the titles, in their company names, then they could start the construction. And they couldn't put the land in their company names unless they completed the payment. So the president says, who introduced that policy? That should be scrapped off. He wrote for me a directive, and we implemented it with my senior minister, Honorable Matiaka Saija, and immediately we scrapped the 80,000. That opened it, Namave up. That alone just opened Namave up. The second problem then came, people who were given the land using a presidential directive, but they were just holding it onto the land.
That's true.
For 20 years, 15 years, they could do nothing. So I came up with a new policy. For this, I didn't actually ask the president. I just took it upon myself that I am going to name and shame. You have held the land for 15 years. The developing period is 5 years or 20 years. Developing period is 5 years. You have done nothing on the land. The land reverts back to government. I'll cancel the titles. So I directed the board that you should start the cancellation. We canceled titles. They brought a lot of fights. They went to the head of state. They accused me how I was very unfair to them and all this. But it worked because I cancelled a lot of titles for people who are just
holding onto the land.
Holding onto the land at the expense of those who would actually develop the land. So this, I also unlocked it. So I'm very grateful that we're having 270 factories in that place. It's very exciting news for me. This is my one of my biggest achievements. Then the other achievement that I made in the investment sector was Mbale Industrial Park. Mbale Industrial Park was just land that the president bought from the Bugisu Cooperative Union.
Yes.
And he bought this land way before I was even appointed. The land, by the time I was appointed, it had stayed there for like 10 years without anything being done. It was actually the person who helped to broker the land and ensure that the Bugisu Cooperative Union was paid and the land was converted to an industrial park was the then Minister Mutende. So, the Minister of Trade.
Yes.
So, I said, wait, what is this land doing? I have to make sure that we have factories in this land. So I went there, I found squatters, I started having meetings with the squatters and explaining to them that instead of them growing yams and maize cabbages and potatoes on this land, we could actually transform this land to be an industrial hub. And they accepted. And they told me, but you know, we have been here, we don't have any other land, we need to be compensated. I went to the president and I told him, Mr. President, the squatters there need to be compensated. He first told me, no, we bought this land, we cannot compensate them. And I'm like, Mr. President, we just can throw them out. Then he told me, okay, fine, so what do you propose? I said, let me work with the chief government valuer. We get the value of everything that they have invested on this land and we pay them. So I worked with the chief government valuer, and me, I work like a private sector person. I'm not a typical minister.
Civil servant.
Civil servant who would work until midday and then hang your coat and go away. No, I'll work until 10 in the night. I am burning candles. I would do a practical thing. You come to me with a problem. The next thing is I am picking my phone, telling my secretaries, call me so and so. We get to the problem. Yes. I worked like that. And up to today, I work like that. I just work like a private, I was wired to work like a private sector person.
Yes.
That's why I'm thriving in the private sector without any problem. But just to that point, then we did evaluation. I went back to the president with the value of, in one cabinet meeting, I just put up my hand without any cabinet paper, and I told the president, we need to compensate, we need 5 billion. He released the 5 billion. He told to your senior, here, release the 5 billion. We released the 5 billion. We compensated all the squatters. And then I freed the land for the investor, Mr. Paul Zhang. Today, we're having 80 factories employing 70,000 people on that land. 80 factories. So Anita's done her part. I can say that I'm walking with my head so high. I even know that my shoes is so heavy and big for anyone to fit in, because I have handed the office, but I didn't hand over my brains. I've gone with it. And so I'm going to use it in the private sector. But what I can just tell my predecessor is not to be strict on the book. Because if you're going to follow the book, you will not succeed. So
let's look at, thank you for that. Baking on the incentives that you talked about, that the beneficiaries, many of them are Africans. The other question is about tax holidays. How the investors as described, normally it takes a meaning of a colored person. Did you find it in the ministry and how it was being rather practiced in that manner?
No, you see, these things are in the law. There is no way you can give an incentive without Parliament approving it. The only challenge we have with our people is that they were not reading it. That's why we had to start a domestic investors desk, so that we could educate our domestic investors. I'm telling you, 90% of the investors in Amave are Ugandans. And I could easily name them because I've done that before. Offhead, name them, and they have done very commendable job. Very commendable job. But they fear to speak because they say, so Kawesi, how did you benefit? How did you benefit? I did not benefit. This is because they have listened. If you read the investment incentives, the domestic investor has X, Y, Z list of incentives. The foreign investors have XYZ list of incentives. And it is even more difficult for foreign investors because you must employ 75% of your people have to be Ugandans. You must, directors have to be Ugandans. You must register the company here. For Ugandan, you don't have to do all that because you're Ugandan. And after all, you're still going to employ the Ugandans to work in those factories. So the 10-year tax holiday, which was the biggest, and one of the things that made this investment docket to be so famous and very attractive to people was the fact that I was very loud about the incentives. Whatever that I would say would not be things from my mouth. There are actually things in the book, in the tax laws. So, for instance, giving land for free to both foreign investors and domestic investors, and making sure that they can mortgage that land after they've invested 60% for Ugandan and 50% for Ugandan if you've invested capital, and the 75% for foreign investor if you have invested. They were written, then you can mortgage the land. It's in the law. How do you qualify to get the 15-year tax holiday, 10-year tax holiday? It was within the law. But the problem is people couldn't read, so they would hear me talk, and then the next time they're seeing me with a colored person, Dalton, if I am working with you, it will not make news. But if I'm working with the Chinese, it's making news. Oh, that's Chinese. But it's an African thing because we think that the colored people have money as opposed to the black ones. No, I actually related with black people more, Ugandans more than the Chinese, but it's just that it wasn't making news for the ordinary citizen.
During your tenure, we've seen incentives being given to new entrants in a sector where there are old players and indigenous, and very critics say that is wrong because you'd rather upscale these old players than attracting new people.
No, Jelton, this is how the incentive works. If you're a new player and you have run the race of the old player and you've run the race of 10 years, of benefiting from the tax incentives. You can actually get another benefit of 10 years if you're doing expansion. And many people actually came back to get that incentive. And also, if we've given you a 10-year tax holiday, but within the 10 years, you're not able to work and you come back and give reasons, we'll still give. Why are we giving the new entrants? We are giving both the old entrants and the new entrants, but people did not understand that for the old person, you have to only get the incentive on expansion because it's like breastfeeding. When you're a mother and you breastfeed the child, it reaches a point that you have to win over the child to go and start eating normal food. So we give to them, and then we get new children who are who we expect to bear fruits for us and employ other Ugandans. It's an incentive. You can hear the word, it's an incentive. So why should I continue to incentivize the person who has been there for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years in the business? That person should be able to walk on their own. So we need to get the new ones to come and benefit. I will tell you, it was not only the public crying about those incentives. Even when the incentives were yearly, revised through Parliament and Cabinet, but when it came to implementation, they would look at Anita, those incentives of yours. But it was collective responsibility. You debated them. Then there was a time even they said, no, we have to reduce the 10 years to 5 years. One thing I did was to always do my research. I did research, I was benchmarking against Mauritius because Mauritius was being #1 best investment destination in the African continent. My target was that let's copy what Mauritius is doing, bring all these incentives to Uganda, and then we see if we can be able to attract investment. I'm telling you, having visited Mauritius, explaining this to the president, and he bought in. Every other region, after Uganda implemented, every other country in the East African community started borrowing a leaf from Uganda. And they started doing it because they needed to also equally attract investment.
The critics say that as a country, we are attracting investors not in the right sectors where we need them, but in sectors that already have people that are running the business.
No, they're not enough, probably. So let me tell you, give me an example of a
sugar
sector. Now, listen. As a country, you're only producing 600,000 metric tons of sugar. How can you say that is enough for your country to grow? That's not enough.
Why don't you give capacity the ones that are playing?
You can't give them capacity because it's a private sector-led economy. These are private players. They can only install the capacity that they can manage according to their pocket size. So the best thing you have to do is to attract others, new players, people who can come in and invest, because nobody is going to invest. The only person I know who has invested and one company is producing the 300,000 metric tons of the 600,000 metric tons. So it's not enough. So I want to tell you that for every sector, we put priority sectors. And this I give credit to President Museveni because he selected the priority sectors carefully, looking at the fast-moving product, looking at the raw materials of Uganda, and natural God-given raw materials of Uganda. The best thing he needed to do was to give incentives in those areas and make sure that people come in. That's why you talk about services. That's why we talk about manufacturing, agro-industrialization. That's why we talk about ICT. The players that we have in those sectors are not enough. Somebody will wake up and tell you that the textile factories that we have in the country is enough. They're not enough. Only 2 factories and doing vertical integration. The rest are just doing tailoring. So you have to invite more investors in that sector. You have to invite, basically, as Uganda stands, we still, all the sectors are very important. All of the sectors are very important. We still need to attract investors in those sectors because we're not able to meet the demand of Ugandans. We're not able to meet of 45 million people. We're not able to meet the demand of the East African community of 300 million people, then the African Continental Free Trade Area of 1.4 billion people. So you have to attract many more people so that you're able to meet that market size demand.
Youth unemployment still persists. What is government getting wrong?
Government is not getting anything wrong. Government can only employ 700,000 people in the public service jobs. So what government is doing, and this is why I still give kudos to the president, he's saying, look here, there are 2 strategies here. Strategy number 1, let us go for industrialization. Strategy number 2, let's go for PDM, the Paris Development Model. And in the strategy number 1, you will be able to create more jobs for Ugandans than, do you know how many jobs have been created by industrialization? 2.2 million. And government public service job, police, all the civil servants, it's only 700,000. So, and yet it can never grow bigger than that. And yet every academic year, you're getting just about the same number of people graduating from the universities, 700,000 people graduating from the university, So, therefore, government has to create jobs through the private sector. But unfortunately, there is a push and pull factor. When you're pushing it, I was pushing it so hard for creating jobs in the private sector through industrialization, but I got a lot of enemies. I was bashed, I was called names, I was labeled corrupt just because I am pushing. I was labeled so many things, you know, she's just after foreign interests and all these things. But you see, ultimately, my need was to create those jobs. Because, let me tell you, it was such a good thing that I first served as the Minister for Youth, then became the Minister for Investment. When I was serving as the Minister for Youth, one of the things that would be so heartbreaking for me is young people walking to my office and asking for jobs. They're saying, we don't have the jobs. Then I asked them, what do you want? How much would be your salary? They said anything. Their issue was not how much they want to be paid, but they want anything.
Okay.
So the thing is that when I came in, I said, okay, fine. I know the industrialists, because of the absence of minimum wage, they're going to pay us when